Today we're looking at quite a special sound. It's the THX deep note. This sound was created in the 80s, around 82, for the premiere of Return of the Jedi by Lucasfilm. And it was created by Dr. James Malone, who was working and studying at Stanford University. And he used quite an old system at the time, which was called the audio signal processor. This was actually a software, ASP. However, this was kind of before we had computers that could do live signal processing and live synthesis effectively. The idea for this was inspired loosely by works by the composer Yannis Xenakis, the Greek composer. So there's a piece called Metastasis, which starts with lots and lots and lots of strings, all kind of gliding towards pitch center. You've heard this in horror movies, you've heard this in The Shining. So I've recreated it in Plug Data here. Plug Data is a new application that runs Pure Data, which is now quite an old programming language, very similar to Max MSP. So I've generated this oscillator, and then I've developed a table here which generates 30 starting frequencies for this cello between 200 and 400 hertz, just like the original THX Deep Note project. Let me show you what it sounds like. So this is one of the cello oscillators. Not particularly impressive by itself, it sounds very computerized, but when we have 30 of them all starting at different frequencies, all gliding at different rates, it begins to sound quite natural, quite orchestral. What we've got here is an object in Plug Data called Clone, which allows me to have 30 versions of the cello oscillator, each with their own random starting frequency. I can control how long it takes for them all to slide to various target frequencies that I've given. So you can see them here in this end pitch patch here. We've got 6 different frequencies of a large D major chord. So these are randomly distributed between the 30 oscillators. We then have random panning, left and right. So each cello oscillator is randomly panned across the stereo field, giving that nice chorus, thick orchestral feel. There's also a random pitch offset. So we're randomly modulating the frequency here, and you can see the result. This is the original frequency of this one single cello voice, and this is the one being randomly modulated. Now this gives it less of a computerized feel and more of a real string feeling, because you have this natural detuning and movement of frequency between the different voices. It sounds like this. Maybe you can even hear the pitches slightly drifting at the end there. Now the thing is, the THX Deep Note sound is semi-randomly generated. It was programmed in this software, so every time we play it, it's going to be slightly different. We're going to have different starting frequencies, and they're going to take different amounts of time to glide to the final end frequency. Obviously, when you hear it in the cinema, they took one take and stuck with that, but the original software would sound different every time, so here's another one. Now, if you want to know how to build this in detail, I'll be uploading the Plug Data patch to the video, so you'll be able to download it and have a look. If you're interested in getting deeper into this kind of programming, you can come to Point Blank Music School and study advanced sound design with me and learn this kind of thing from the ground up. So this is very much how it would have been synthesized back in the day. The initial cello oscillator, I've called cello wave here, is being held in a table or an array. This is very similar to wavetable synthesis, like you might see in programs like Serum or Native Instruments Massive. I'm using a process called additive synthesis through a function called sine sum here. So you can see I've got cello wave, which is the name of the array, sine sum, which is just a function that tells it to add sine waves together. 2048 is the number of total partials and the size of the table in samples. Now it's going to fill those in following the harmonic series, going odd and even harmonics in multiples of the fundamental frequency. These are the amplitude ratios here for the 12 harmonics, and this kind of loosely follows the amplitude ratio you would have for a cello sound. We then have to normalize this, because I'll show you, if I synthesize the original sound, it goes beyond the boundaries of the array, so it will be too loud, we won't be able to hear it properly. And then the actual patch itself, as soon as we click the start button, will immediately count to 30 with this counter that I've made here, using a modulo object there to stop it at 30, and that will send out random number generator here. So I've got random 200 plus 200. So the result of that is we get numbers between 200 and 400. So frequencies between 200 Hertz and 400 Hertz. Those are sent or written to another table or array here called start frequencies. And you can see them kind of mapped visually along this graph. Now that will change every time. I can sort of reset this and it will give me different random frequencies there, much like the original. Once we've got those, we have an envelope here with an object called line, very simple envelope that's triggered. It goes from 1 being maximum volume over 15,000 milliseconds. After 14,000 milliseconds, so just before the end of that envelope, we have a fade out back to 0 volume of 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second. So quite simple there. Where it gets a little bit complicated is we're taking all 30 of those starting frequencies, those randomly generated frequencies, and we're sending them to an object called clone. Now in pure data, clone is a way of taking one oscillator or one voice and having many copies of it that can all do different things and all receive different information. So we're sending it to 30 versions of this subpatch or abstraction that I've built. This features the cello wave oscillator. It reads it from a table driven by a phasor oscillator, which is a classic way of playing through wavetables. And we have another envelope process that happens here. We have a linear ramp, again from 0 to 1, over a glide time provided by this randomized object here. So each oscillator has a random glide time between 10,000 milliseconds and 12,000 milliseconds, meaning that, again, like a real orchestra, things aren't perfectly in time, things aren't moving in a kind of 1-to-1 ratio, and that's what gives it this nice kind of blurred chorus sound. We have the end pitches here, and those are subtracted from the random starting pitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible ending pitches here, and they'll be distributed between the oscillators depending on which instance of the 30 subpatches we have open. That eventually gets sent to a phasor which drives the oscillator, and as you can see here, there's the random panning from the outlet. If you want to learn more about this, visit pointblankmusicschool.com. Comment down below what you'd like to see us create next.